A Break in the Rain it basically is referring to a moment of illumination where the sort of ongoing nature of a rainstorm where there's that just moment of clarity where the clouds open up for a moment and there's a lightning and a clarity. And for me, that is the journey that Jake is on, that he reaches that moment of clarity that dispels the sort of gloom that's been over him. Started just putting titles up on our chalkboard, this chalkboard. And we just started putting things up, hoping to hit on something. And we would come through, we'd erase things, we'd put other things up. Um, and one day I put A Break in the Rain up, and it stayed up for a little while, it stayed up for a couple of days as other titles went away. And eventually we kind of agreed that it embodied what we wanted to say, to tell people, sort of what the movie was. We wanted people to know that it was an uplifting and a positive movie, and that seemed to crystallize some piece of it. When we started talking about the project, when Don and I started to try to come up with what kind of movie we wanted to make, um, one morning, Don came out of the shower and said, "What if it's an old guy with a guitar?" And I said, "Okay." Um, so I kicked that around for a while and started to kind of find a story. And so on that level, yes, I knew there would be music. In terms of determining what music, that came as I developed the storyline. When I introduced the idea of Jake writing poetry and Katrina setting it to music, I realized I could use Don's music, and that could be the voice of the the, the Jake character. Um, and at that point, I was putting cover songs for Katrina. I had an idea that Katrina was a musician who was still really just doing cover tunes, and she had a few songs that she'd sort of written by herself with her boyfriend, but she hadn't really found a writing voice for herself. So that when she discovers Jake's poetry and she finds that she's creating music out of that, it's extremely exciting for her. Um, And then as we went along, I realized that once we knew Elizabeth was going to be playing Katrina, we had worked with her on a off-Broadway musical, and I knew that there were songs in that musical that I really liked that fit thematically with what I wanted Katrina to be
What
conveying.
were your influences?
So I had two movies in my head, sort of throughout the period where I was trying to put together the plot line. Um, One is the movie of Once. One of the things that I love about that movie is that for me, it's about two people who are stuck, who come together, and the kinetic energy that's created by their meeting is conveyed through music, but that kinetic energy is transformative and it allows them to go off and continue their lives. And so it's a very small moment in time, but in but a transformative moment in time. And
Mhm.
it's about the connection of two people, uh, and their ability to influence each other. So I liked that idea so that I could keep the story contained. Um, and then the uh, other movie I was thinking a lot about is Tender Mercies. Um, Horton Foote does such a beautiful job with the Robert Duvall character, and the Spartan nature of the dialogue that allows for the audience to experience the emotional life of the character through the actual just the eyes and the embodiment of the actor. And it allows the director to really use the imagery of the visuals to be characters and tell the story. And it also is about music and the language of music and the transformational nature of music.
It deals so importantly with grief. It opens with the funeral. I'm not giving anything away. It opens with the funeral, and and there are a couple of deaths that our main characters dealing with. Um, how did you inform that? Where does that come from? And is that personal to you in some way?
It's a lot of things. The moment in time that I was writing it was we were just coming out of the pandemic, um, and everybody I knew was dealing with something that was grief related, loss related, loss of, their jobs, loss of their careers, loss of actual people, including me. My father had passed, and I was grappling with the emotions of that. Um, and thinking a lot about healing. The country was coming apart politically, the world seemed to be coming apart politically. So I think I was pulling the threads from all the conversations I was having with friends, and the thoughts that were going through my own head about the nature of grief and how you heal. And uh, the only sort of conclusion I was able to come to was you heal through your relationships with other people. You confront the emotions you're experiencing, and then you lean on the people around you.
Is there
Felicia.
a
For me, Felicia is the sort of uh, I think my voice on some level in sort of seeing the end and surviving it, because she is the only character who's on the other side. So she's able to sit with Laura and be the guide through through the process.
right,
So that scene with Laura, about the waves coming in waves
right?
is, I think, key. And then Jake in the car with Katrina when he says, don't take for granted the time you have. You know, all you can do is make the movies that you want to see. These are the kind of movies that I enjoy. I enjoy character-driven pieces where um, I'm following an arc and taking a journey with a character, and that whatever that transformational process is that the character takes leaves me feeling better about myself and the world, and that is what I enjoy. Um,
So would you say if we go to see A Break in the Rain, we'll come out feeling better about ourselves and the world?
I hope so.